Welcome into another episode of Mile High Bourbon and Rye, a Colorado craft podcast. My name is Zach, and I am the host of the show, and today I'm extremely excited to be sitting here with Matt of Colorado Spirits Collective. Matt, how you doing?
Good, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Doing great. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're sitting down here at Distillery 291. They've got a whiskey release cigar pairing event going on today.
Yeah, so this is our... I don't know if this is what how you want to start it.
Yeah.
But, so this is our third one. So we partner with Trinity Cigar Company and do some pairings for Distillery 291's monthly release for September, October, November. Yeah.
Awesome. So. That's great. So yeah, you guys do these once a month through...
Yeah, so September is the anniversary release for 291.
Awesome.
So their anniversary is 9/11.
Okay.
And then October is Bad Guy Bourbon, which is their 4-grain bourbon, and that's their yearly release. And then this one is it's kind of our heavy hitter release, if you want to call it that. So they release their experimental series every November, and then also today we're doing all rye and high rye. So. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The all rye I haven't had yet. High rye is one of my go-to bottles from 291. So
yeah, that's definitely what was my game changer for 291. Was the first time I had high rye for sure.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
It's such a good bottle. And I mean 291 stands out.
Yeah.
Just with everything they produce as well. Yep,
for sure.
Awesome. So do you work with 291 outside of Colorado Spirits Collective or just through the Colorado Spirits Collective?
Yeah, so kind of basically all the whiskey stuff I do is all through Colorado Spirits Collective. So I guess contract with them, if you want to call it that,
okay.
Just to do their release parties, and then we'll probably do some holiday stuff here coming up for Christmas, and just kind of whenever they need help. Emily, who is a badass, so come to me and see what we can work on. So yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more, and all the listeners here, about Colorado Spirits Collective in general. I'd like to hear what you do.
So I started. I kind of got into whiskey right before COVID, end of 2019, beginning of 2020, and I noticed that it seemed to be that every page on Instagram and YouTube and all the things were kind of just reviewing Colorado whiskey, not reviewing Colorado whiskey, reviewing Kentucky whiskey.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I kind of take reviews with a grain of salt, just because everybody's palate is different. Like a $20 bottle that you think is disgusting could taste like the most incredible thing to me.
Yeah.
And it just kind of depends, and nobody had really was hardcore just focused strictly on Colorado at that point. I know there were a few just here and there, but nothing especially for especially Colorado Springs wise, and just if that makes sense. What year did you guys get going?
2016.
Okay, so
2015, right?
I think you were one of the first pages I followed, and then you were doing obviously the podcast kind of thing, which I kind of had an interest in, but
back then though I was only the review guy, so I was exactly the guy you're talking about. Not really too interested in the reviews, but that's exactly how I got this started.
Well, and two, I feel though you were probably one of the only people reviewing Colorado specific whiskey.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of where I started my thing. Is I don't do reviews. I have written some tasting notes and whatnot for a handful of distilleries for their websites and stuff like that. But and then debated doing the Pulled podcast thing, but also you already crush it on that. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to just do something to promote Colorado whiskey. So that started I started it right as obviously COVID shut everything down, so that was fun.
Perfect timing.
So I had to like ask permission from a few distilleries to use some pictures if I like wasn't able to go get my own, or
Yeah.
obviously, you know, we had 2020 prohibition, and so the liquor store is a very common place
Yep.
to just grab some bottles, post some pictures, and promote it. And then finally 2021, dabbled in the YouTube interview kind of thing a little bit, but I don't think I realized how much work YouTube is, just to promote and like all the figuring out all the algorithm stuff. And my first video was actually with Axe in the Oak,
Okay.
and it was so bad on my part. Casey, he's the owner of Axe in the Oak, like I straight up staring at him talking like we are, and I forgot his name. Like it was horrible. So shout out to Casey for bearing through that with me. But never, it was so bad I couldn't release it.
Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah.
That good of a video.
So,
Awesome.
And it was like 8 minutes long, and then it's like, yeah, I've never been so awkward in my life. So then I think I probably have like 14 or 15 YouTube videos from different distilleries. And then 2022 we did SoCo Still Fest.
Yep.
So that was our first year for that, and then
Awesome event.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was for first year festival, we had almost 50 distilleries from mainly Colorado, and then I think we had one from New Mexico and maybe 2 from Wyoming.
Very cool.
So we did that in 2023, and then this past June, and I have walked away from that for reasons that we can chat about later.
Off-air type of conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And then I kind of found events to be like more of my passion.
Okay.
And just kind of bringing the community together, and where it's actually how like you and me have met.
Yep.
And met up. We met at Tolnua.
Yep.
For their St. Patrick's Day thing, which that's a badass event.
Yeah, shout out to Alnua for that one, because every year that crushes it.
Every year it's a banger, for sure. And then this past October, we started whiskey. I always say we, and then my wife gets pissed because it's me. But
I include, but like just default, right? Because when you get the wife, you do everything with her, so just default, it's we. You're part of everything.
Yeah. So I just say we, and then my wife will always be like, "It's not we. Who else do you do it with?" I was like, "I know I do it, but it's still." But we're doing it. We started. See?
Yep.
Still doing it. I started the Whiskey Church tasting series. So the inspiration kind of behind that was I used to do a monthly tasting at a different venue, and then this new venue, it's one of the first churches in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And then a couple years ago, it became the Carter Payne, which is kind of like a communal spot, but it has full restaurant, it has a brewery, a winery, and then also
I have been
a
in
full.
there before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So then like our logo is, which my wife like came up with the idea. So that's why I say we, because you know, there's a big window in the front of the church, a big arch window. So the inspiration behind like it's at a church, like we're doing whiskey tastings, like why not do a whiskey church? And then the logo is the same shape as that big window that's in the front of the church.
Big stained glass window.
Yeah.
Yeah. The logo is excellent. Like great work with that. That was very well done.
Yeah. Shout out to the wife for coming up with the idea.
Yeah.
I wanted to do my normal like circle, like just multicolored logo, and she was just like, "Why don't you do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's badass." So
no, it's a really cool logo for sure. And I know recently you just had Stranahan's down for that event, and you've got, I think this episode should be released before it happens, so you've got Storm King coming up soon, right? Yeah.
So our first 2 have actually sold out, which I was pretty proud of that. Just to kind of, I guess, helps you. Motivates you, I guess, just knowing like what you've built and kind of over the past couple years. But so our first one was Bear Creek in October. Jay came down for that. He's a badass dude, and he was kind of like let's see how the first one goes. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that big
Yep.
time. This past one was Stranahan's, and I definitely wanted to make people's ticket like worth it. So I don't charge too much. Like my highest ticket will be $40, and you get a flight of 4. And this Stranahan's tasting, I went up to the distillery and met up with Tyler, who's their, I guess, production floor manager. Me and him have chatted and become good friends, and so I ended up getting 2 distillery only releases, and then 2 of like kind of stuff you can just find around town. I wanted to make sure like why would I go to a tasting where I could just go, like taste it real quick at the liquor store,
Yeah.
So I try to like figure out, I work with each distillery on like what we're gonna taste, and that kind of thing. So but yeah, and then in December will be Storm King Distilling, which they're out of Montrose, and David, they're an awesome crew as well. I've only met a few people that I have been like about in the industry, but for the most part everybody's been super cool and whatnot. And David's a badass dude. I hit him up for a lot of stuff just in general, like whether it's whiskey related or kind of just life related in general.
Yeah.
He's been a really good person to connect with and become friends with. So yeah, they're coming out here, and then I only have 2 spots open for next year.
Okay.
So 2024 is almost booked for all the distilleries already.
Nice.
And I'm actually switching it up. So we're doing Keeper's Heart,
Okay.
which is out of Minnesota. They've supported me over the past couple of years, and I've been happy to support them as well with just promoting them around Colorado, and so they're kicking it off. So
I think I've heard a little bit about them. That's a
Yeah.
Irish style as
so,
well, right?
Yeah, so it's super unique. So it's a blend, but which I know people are like, ooh, blends, but this is like they distill their rye and then their American whiskey, their bourbon, like they distill all that, and then they get Irish whiskey and they blend it together. So it's kind of like a different take to me on blending.
Awesome.
And
Blending
then-
styles instead of just
Yeah.
like blending. Yeah,
Right,
okay.
exactly.
I really
yeah,
like that.
Yeah, that's super cool. So I went to a tasting with them in Denver that they invited me to, and you actually got to taste like the 3 different whiskeys like separately, and then you got to taste the blend.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so so I'm gonna work with them. Like that's how February's tasting is hopefully gonna go. We're gonna do that exact thing, and then maybe taste a few other things, but that'll be a fun one. So we got Tolnua for March to kind of set up for St. Patrick's Day.
Awesome.
And their Old Saints Keep release.
Yep.
We got Laws 291, Woods High Mountain, and what else is coming? Laws. I already say Laws.
Yeah,
I think I already
that's
said
all
Laws, but
We could promote the heck out of that.
Yeah, we got-
I'm excited to see. Have you seen their construction,
oh yeah,
their expansion?
Yeah, that's
I'm
gonna be
real
badass.
excited
Yeah.
to see that.
Yeah, their tasting room that was about the size of this trailer
Yeah.
is about to get real big and
Real upgraded,
legit
yep.
for sure. And then I think Ryan Nagley's coming down for Boulder from
Awesome.
Boulder Spirits.
He's crushing it up there.
Oh yeah, dude.
Boulder Spirits
That's
is
yeah.
killing it.
I had Deborah from Western Slope Whiskey Club. She came to my last whiskey tasting. She stopped in Boulder to see Ryan, and she picked up the 10 essentials for me.
Nice.
And I messaged Ryan, and I just told him, I was like, this is literally like one of the best releases I think I've tasted this year. Like,
Everybody keeps saying that,
Yeah.
and I have not
no,
picked up a bottle yet.
Oh.
And I keep kicking myself. It's one of those like, gotta go do it, and then I still haven't done it. So
maybe I'll have my dad bring it because he should be here in a little bit.
I'll definitely try a pour of it for
I'll
sure.
text him right now.
I've heard nothing but great things about that.
Oh yeah, that's nuts for sure.
Awesome.
So that's kind of Colorado Spirits Collective in a nutshell.
Sweet.
But, yeah.
What like kicked it off for? I know you said you were kind of interested in talking about like the Colorado stuff, but what was like kind of that? All right, this is really gonna happen.
Yeah. So, I've always been like I feel like most Coloradans are very like pride on local stuff, and
Okay, so then let me interrupt you for a sec.
'Kay.
Colorado native then?
I am not actually.
no kidding. Okay.
No, so which I have my bubble jacket and my bike and my snowboard, so everybody
So
usually assumes that I am.
you're
But
enough to be
yeah, I mean,
honorary native
I've been
situation.
I've been here for 12 years now, so
Okay.
pretty much my whole adult life. And then I joined the Army when I was 17. Got stationed out here in 2011.
Okay.
Met my wife. Obviously, kid was born here.
Yep.
Here a few months ago.
Well, if you got a
so-
kid who's a native, then you
yeah,
count as a native.
I feel like
think
I feel like I'm native by
that
default.
cements you. Yep. I think you're
the
there.
the wife's a native and the kid's a native. So
Perfect.
yeah,
But yeah, so then you got into
yeah.
this
So
'cause-
I've kind of always been a whiskey drinker. I tried dabbling in the craft beer field for a little bit, but pretty much I concluded that I only like hazy IPAs.
Fair.
Which are delicious. But yeah, I was like Jack Daniels, like Old Number 7 was amazing, and then started tasting through different stuff, and then I actually went to Stranahan's for my bachelor party back
Okay.
in 2016, and I feel like that was kind of like where I started like looking at laws, looking at 291, looking at different local guys, and yeah, from there kind of set me into whiskey in general. And then like I built my basement bar, and obviously I had to stock it, so
Yep.
from all that, just and then I've always been one of those people who have like some type of like side hustle kind of thing. And I was like, nobody's really promoting Colorado whiskey like super hard. I was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, here we are.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The scene's blown up over the last
Yeah, yeah.
10-ish years too.
Yeah.
I mean, Stranahan's obviously has got that kind of original.
Yeah.
You had Downslope for a while with one of the older distillery license, and
Yep.
then Laws kind of came around. I feel like Bear Creek wasn't long after that, but then all of a sudden, I feel like they just start.
post 2015 or so.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
start popping up everywhere.
Yeah, I've told a few people this. I feel like Colorado whiskey is kind of like there's 3 generations.
Mhm.
It's like obviously Stranahan's is your first licensed distillery since Prohibition.
Yep.
And that's 2004, first release 2006. And then you have Peach Street, which was 2006.
I always forget about them
Yeah.
being around as long as they have.
They do their. I feel like they kind of do their thing out out
They
west.
got the whole
you know?
Western
Oh yeah, for
locked
sure.
down. Yep.
And then like Gen 1 is Stranahan's 2004 to like 2010ish or so, and then like Gen 2 would be 2011 to like 2015, and then yeah, 291 2011,
Yep.
and then like 2015 to like current day is kind of like your Generation 3, where it all like kind of blew up, and
Yep.
like we put ourselves, I feel like, on a pretty good map of the whiskey game in general, just on a national level.
Even
So,
global level too.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
291's no stranger
Oh,
to
yeah.
some
think
global
they're in-
awards.
I think they're in 17 countries or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like Laws is probably pretty close behind them, and obviously Stranahan's is the OG
Yep.
American single malt for sure. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado's definitely got a great name behind it, continuing to explode, to really grow into its own. I
Yeah.
mean, forever in the U.S., whiskey's probably always going to immediately summon Kentucky to
Yeah.
the brain, right? Like, it just...
Yep.
But it kind of has to. You can't
Right.
really think anything
Yeah.
negative about that, just because there's no way anything else could happen. Hold on, let me...
There you go.
if that goes to sleep, then the whole thing shuts down, and,
Yeah.
and we're doomed, so...
Yeah. You'd be like when I recorded my Tolnua episode.
Yeah.
It was the first time I had used like a new camera, and I didn't realize that it cuts out at 22 minutes. We recorded a 54-minute episode,
And 22
and
minutes
22
of video.
minutes of video.
That's
So,
awesome.
so in reality, we only recorded 22 minutes.
Yep. Oof. That's
So 2 hours later, I appreciate Patrick and Megan for sticking that out with me. But yeah.
I mean, Patrick will give you a lot of good information too. That guy
yeah.
has a huge depth of knowledge, so no
yeah.
surprise that it went hour
that dude,
length.
That dude's insane. Like, you can get him talking. I mean, chemical engineer background, like,
Yep.
all that, and I could probably sit there and talk with him for 5 or 6 hours about just grains and all sorts of stuff. But,
I mean, I love everything he did going to Ireland to really learn not only just the distilling process, but the whole history about it, too.
Right.
He talked to me about going through old tax logs to learn more about how it was made back in the day. So,
and too, like, we were kind of talking about Colorado whiskey and Stranahan's being the first one. Like, he got his start in Stranahan's as well as Eric did here at 291. And, so
it kind of goes into that generational thing too, because it does seem like Stranahan's sort of branched off.
Yep. Yeah, like the majority. I don't know if it's majority, but a handful of distillers or owners like got their start there, and I feel like that's kind of also across the U.S. in general as well with American single malt.
Yeah.
Because I know, I was trying to think of who it was. Was it Angel's Envy that has the Stranahan's?
Ooh.
Ty, their distiller, maybe just went to Angel's Envy or something. Somebody did.
That sounds right, but I don't know for sure.
Can't confirm.
Yep.
So Tyler, if you're listening, I'm sorry that I.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so then we're kind of getting towards sort of the end of this particular episode, but I gotta say, I want to know sort of what's your favorite out there whiskey that you've tried, like kind of one of the coolest, either barrel finished or just coolest distillations, something that's totally off the wall.
It'd be hard. I don't even know. So we were in Buena Vista last weekend.
Okay.
And Deer Hammer.
Yep.
They did a collaboration with Eddie Line Brewing.
Okay.
So those are pretty much your two, like, I guess, heavy hitter Buena Vista.
Yeah, that's Buny's
alcohol
scene.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly. But they did a collaboration whiskey with, I guess, either a brewery or somebody ordered like 2,200 kegs of some type of Eddie Line beer. I think it was like an IPA or something. But they're like, and then the order fell through.
Oh.
So they're like, what the hell do we do with all this beer? So they got a hold of Deer Hammer and they ended up distilling the IPA and making it into like this. I think you can only get it at Deer Hammer or at Eddie Line. But it's, for being a Deer Hammer whiskey, it's super like different and unique. And then
so it's like a beer schnapps. They distilled the beer down.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's still like, it's very potent. Like it drinks like a light whiskey.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I'd say that's probably one of the most unique ones. But and then that's also when I tasted the 10 Essentials from Boulder. So it was a good whiskey weekend. But, yeah. But with that collaboration release, they donate all the proceeds to local trail systems and whatnot.
Awesome.
So it's, I guess, a non-profit release and gives back to the community, which is kind of what I'm all about when it comes to whiskey. And so it was a good, super unique pickup for sure. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool. I think most unique one I think I've had that just kind of was totally off the wall is Mystic Mountain did one of their whiskeys.
Okay.
Finished it in a peanut butter stout cask.
Oh, shit.
And, like, didn't really filter it or anything, so it sat... I mean, you got
good.
all the stuff on the bottom. It was really weird sounding. Like, I didn't know what to expect going into it.
I feel like which I mean I'm guilty of. Like I pretty much just went to like peanut butter flavored whiskey, and I'm just like, oh. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like Deer Hammer does their
The Progeny series.
The Progeny series.
Man,
and
I tried that one with Cultura chocolate.
Yep, yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna. That's exactly
had a
what I was
feeling
gonna
that's
say.
where you were going. That one
Yeah.
is so good.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those. Like it'll surprise you how delicious it is.
And that was the peanut butter one was exactly that, because you get the stout beer, but the peanut butter stout beer flavor, and it was just this like strange, wonderful mixture of.
That's funny.
Of stuff happening, like absolutely a blast.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be one I need to try.
Nice.
For sure. But I do want to bring up, I loved your hockey player comparisons.
The pairings, yep.
Those were perfect.
Shout out to Locked On Avalanche,
Yeah.
because those guys invited me on, and they're like, hey, start kind of thinking about this. We're going to shoot them at you on the episode.
Heck yeah.
Like, we want to get you.
Yeah.
And so I had some ideas in my head waiting for them to kind of call that out.
Like, I was listening to that, and you were, like, spot on. Like, and it's one of those things, like, whiskey kind of brings you back to memories, right?
Yep.
So, like, your Kel McCarr, what was your Kel McCarr pairing?
291's Bad Guy.
Okay, yeah, exactly. I was like, that's why it stuck with me. But then also it brought me back to, like, I remember watching the first night he played and then scoring that first
shift,
NHL goal.
First NHL goal in the playoffs.
In the playoffs.
Yep.
His parents are, like, there watching. Like, you couldn't put together, like, a better, like, inaugural, like, game for somebody.
No,
then, like, your pairing was just, I was just like, yep, right on.
Well, then, with the, obviously all that, the Seattle incident with the hit and the 1-game suspension, and now you watch any games in Seattle and Cale gets booed every time he touches the puck, and you're just like, this kid's way too good. But and he's not a dirty guy, so I thought that was great with that reputation he earned.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that was a heck of a good time.
Fuck the Kraken.
But that was great. Thank you much for checking that out. If you didn't, I have that episode up, or check out Locked On Avalanche on YouTube or Spotify, whatever.
Sure.
Find that episode, because that was a ton of fun. So huge shout out to those guys.
For sure.
But awesome, man. Well,
cool.
Thank you very much for joining me. Tell folks where they can find you, how they can follow you.
So I do mainly Instagram. You can do and then it's CO Spirits Collective. And then also I have a page for Whiskey Church Tasting Series. And that's just at Whiskey Church Tasting Series. Facebook is just Colorado Spirits Collective. I do post all my events through their little event page that you can make them on and stuff. And I do all my, pretty much any event that I'm hosting is on there. And then, those are probably your 2 best spots.
Awesome.
So,
good deal.
Cool.
So make sure you're following Colorado Spirits Collective. Check him out. It's awesome content, awesome tastings, everything like that. And Matt, thank you again so much for joining me on an episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, before we go, shout out to these Wisdom glasses.
Oh yeah.
Pick these up through Colorado Spirits Collective as well.
These will change your life.
This is awesome. And great tasting single malt from 291, or a malt rather. Single malt?
Single malt,
Okay.
They're first and only single malt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Cool. Cheers.
Well, cheers. Thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Mile High Bourbon and Rye, Colorado Craft Podcast. Find me online, any of the social medias. I'm basically everywhere, because why not? Just search Mile High Bourbon and Rye wherever you want. Make sure to, give us a like, rate us on iTunes, Spotify, helps out tremendously. Potentially this one could be going up on YouTube, so give a follow there. And check us out, milehighbourbon.com. Check out the shop. Support us. Remember, everything that I sell off of the shop, with some new products coming soon, does part of those proceeds go to local Colorado charities every time.
Nice.
So be sure to check us out there. And sign up for the new mailing list, because I do have some exciting things coming down the pipeline. Not full ready to announce it yet, but if you're on the mailing list, you'll be the first to find out. So
I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
And shout out to Scott from Trinity Cigar Company for letting us
use this awesome trailer.
This badass trailer.
Get a couple of pictures of this to post online as well, because this is a wicked trailer. So
heck yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cheers to Scott with Trinity Cigar Company, and Thank you all for listening. We'll catch you next time.